Hi, I'm Dan Presser, owner of Four Winds Travel here in California. I've owned Four Winds Travel for over 2.5 decades, and I'd like to talk to you about traveling during the COVID era. Yes, it's a time that we need to be careful about because COVID is real. As we have seen from the President of the United States, he is now in the hospital with COVID. So you can date this. This is October the 5th. But before we get into some really nitty-gritty with the COVID situation, I'd like to tell you a little bit about traveling way back in the old days. First of all, if you were asked right now to get on a Boeing 737 MAX, would you? You would only do so if you knew it was totally safe. You want that aircraft to be as safe as possible so that you can get where you're going. Well, the same should be true for all your travel plans. And you've got to remember that the travel in the United States with aircraft began with barnstormers. Those old barnstormers were pilots and they loved to fly. They could put that plane upside down. Some of them, and I even knew some of them because I'm not young, but some of them could fly backwards. Yes, they could get a J3 Cub to fly backwards because it didn't take much to keep that thing in the air, and if the wind was blowing stronger than they could go forward, they were flying backward. And those old barnstormers used to carry mail from one place to another, like from El Paso to Denver, and then they grew into airlines. Those CEOs in the old days were very different. They were CEOs that loved to fly. Today, the CEOs that we have love money, and they're after your money. Let's start out with September 11th, 2001. On that morning, the airlines themselves were responsible for the safety of the aircraft and its passengers. And there was no TSA in those days, so the airlines were responsible. And after that horrible incident, instead of apologizing to Americans, the presidents of American and United were before Congress within days to ask for assistance and protection. And they got it. They have never apologized to this day for their dereliction of duty by allowing hijackers and killers to get on those planes with box cutters. They have never said that they were sorry for that incident. Well, does this mindset exist today? Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Let's take, for example, something that the president of American Airlines, Doug Parker, did. He gave a talk to the general public to tell the public what he was doing with the money that he was getting from Congress. This is not too many days ago that he did this. And then in Congress, in his video, he never, ever thanked you, the taxpayer, for helping him out and for helping his airline out. He said what he was going to do with the money, which is nice because the rank and file of the airlines need those funds. But if the president of American Airlines, who makes, according to the internet, about $11.5 million a year, if he gives up 10% of his income, that's not much. He's still going to be in double-digit millions. But if his rank and file, if his workers give up 10% of their money, and they average about $61,000 a year, they give up 10%, that's quite a bite out of their take-home pay. So once again, the airlines are asking for money and help from Congress, the people you elect to go to Washington to represent you. They're asking Congress for more money, and they should get it. There's no question about it. They should get those funds. But there has to be strings attached. because the airlines have been cheating and making draconian rules that they can make up by themselves without having anybody else approve them. That has to stop. They have got to stop taking advantage of you, the traveler, and you, the individual who doesn't even fly. You're still paying for American Airlines and all the major airlines. So, yes, they need help. But they have to stop things like, for example, selling the same thing twice. Does your local retailer sell the same shirt twice? Does your local shoe store sell the same exact shoe? Not something like it, but the same shoe twice? You'd have two owners. You can't do it, but the airlines have figured a way to do it. Let me give you an example. You get caught in traffic for a 2 p.m. flight. You're so busy navigating traffic that you forget to call the airline and tell them that you're not going to make that flight. Well, if you miss that plane and it takes off without you, you lose the money you have paid for that flight. It's gone because you didn't tell the airline. You didn't notify them. In the meantime, it is likely that the airline has a wait list of people trying to get on that flight. So you know what they do? They have taken your money, and now they're going to take the money of the replacement for you on that plane without returning your money to you. Now, is that fair? Is that right? When they want your money from Congress without giving you anything for it? And that's the key. Congress should bail out the airlines yet again, but they must add caveats. They must start taking care of the passengers. They must give you more room. Those seats have just dwindled. But we'll get into more of these draconian rules that the airlines have adapted. And why did they start going to you? That's because, number one, they took away all of the commissions paid to travel agents. Once they took the money away from us, they had no place else to go except you, the passenger. And that's when they came up with all of these other ways, these ancillary ways to make your ticket actually more expensive than it would have been. Plus, they have come up with ways to get more money out of you. But we'll talk about that later. Thanks for joining my blog. I'm Dan Presser. Have a safe day.